Hello, YouTubers and all those who happen to watch. Hope you're all doing quite well nonetheless. So, alright, a pickup or two, about 3 pickups here total, and they're just going to be more of like a subject at hand more than the actual, full-out pickup kind of video, where I'm just going to mention one game I've gotten, which was just for the PS3, and it's actually pretty good. A little easy so far, but it's actually pretty good. And that, of course, is Puppeteer for the PlayStation 3. Now, this game actually reminds me widely of a bunch of Sega Saturn or PlayStation 1 games. And again, it just has this really cheerful, cartoonish kind of feel to it, where I'll give you a look at the back here in a moment. And I'll show you. Basically, you're a puppet that lost his head or got his head decapitated. Sounds pretty cartoonish so far, right? From, this evil bear king, right? This evil bear king pretty much takes your head off, and you have the ability to take the head of other creatures or other things around the environment and be able to use the powers from the said head. Kind of reminds me a little bit of something, but I can't quite put my hands on it. Maybe Chameleon Kid or Kid Chameleon, who really knows? But, yeah, it reminds me a little bit of that. But yeah, really good so far. It has that Clockwork Knight meets Kid Chameleon kind of feel to it. And it just, again, it screams classic nostalgia, at least with the gameplay. Graphically, it just looks like that, just that good. It runs at 720p, blah, 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 blah. If anyone really cares about that, I personally don't. But, again, it runs really good. It actually has 3D capabilities, so if you want to play this in 3D, you can. It uses Move. I'm reading the back of this box just to let you know, because some folks who actually have this hardware want to get more games for that said hardware. That's the only reason why I bring that up. Because I'm going to start doing that a little bit more for the video, so that when people are like, oh yeah, that doesn't... But yeah, blah blah blah, 720p. He has 2 players, which I'm not sure how the 2 players actually work. I'm assuming the second player controls the cursor or something. I don't know, maybe. But past that point, graphically superior, really good, and all that nature. Next one here is actually a game I'm going to be talking about during the end of the video and give my impressions of that game because I already completed it. Now, the main question for the community this week, or I think in general, is what do people think of reproduction cases? I'm not talking about games, I'm talking about cases in general. And I'm talking about things for like a Nintendo or Genesis or Atari or whatever else. Things to house your games, that way they're well protected, either the stuff you make yourself, or game cases that you made or you bought from eBay. Now I've got a couple here I actually bought from eBay, which I'll show you here in a moment because my OCD just kicked up just now. I'm going to fix something. And there you go, I'm happy. Yep, I'm definitely happy. And that of course is this right here. Now, I have Mega Man 1 through 6, and I picked up a couple cases so far to house these said games, because quite frankly I don't have a printer that has, this type of paper, and again, it's a little bit too costly out of my reach. If I'm going to be collecting and all that stuff, I don't have the money to make custom cases and all that, or buy the materials to make the custom cases, because that just over time costs more money than the games are worth over time. I mean, some people have the money and the resources to do so, so therefore, those folks who charge for a minimum fee on eBay, I'm more than personally willing to do so because it looks good, it helps my collection stay more intact, and it makes a good economy for that. That's basically my opinion about that such thing. But however, if you can make your own cases, do so. It's just like people how they make their own gardens and make tomatoes and just produce the stuff in their gardens every single year to eat for themselves. And again, it's self-independence, which is great. At the same time, I don't mind forking over a little bit of minimum fee to get something that I really want. And that, of course, is stuff like this. Now, these are cases, I believe, that are generally produced from, a default mold, where these have like stuff for the Super Nintendo, the Electronic Art cartridges, Sega Genesis, compact disc or CDs, and 64. Again, the insides of them are pretty much padded down with custom padding. This one's a little bit different from the other one, which I'll show you in a moment. And again, it's still a default case that you probably get from like a bulk lot from eBay somewhere, but it's generally the same thing. I mean, nothing too different in that aspect. This one has a little bit of weird gook inside there. It's like a dried gook that they were using to glue stuff down. I mean, it doesn't look horrible, but again, whatever. It's just basically custom housing to keep the game safe. The artwork on this, I mean, again, you have your mixed bag of artwork here. Well, this looks a little bit inferior to the other version, which I'm going to show you here. And the reason why this looks a little bit inferior is because, and I'll show you here, is because they stretched out the artwork to fit the case, which, again, I don't have a problem with them doing that, per se, but it sort of drags the quality of the print, and it makes it a little bit blurry, because you're stretching out the resolution of the said print. I mean, again, it doesn't look horrible if I'm looking from a distance, but if I look up close, it's like, whoa, it's like I need to get my glasses checked or something, but basically, I mean, it doesn't look completely horrible. It's just the print of what they did with this just not come out quite great. You can see it. It's like, kind of see it anyway. It's a little bit blurry. And it just sort of, I'm not sure if that was reflecting or not. I can't tell from this end. But my camera doesn't have a viewfinder I can look at, but yeah, I mean, it's not horrible. I'm happy with what I got. It's just sort of a disappointment slightly from the blurriness, but I'm not here to resell these because I'm using custom cases. I'm here to actually keep the games in good shape. So, there you go. Game does not move, which is very good. What this does inside here is the padding firmly presses the cartridge against the door here, which if you were to go like this, it falls out, which is sort of kind of a bad thing. I mean, you have to open it like this, so you gotta like cradle it like such to get it open and take the game out and be like, oh yeah, that's Mega Man 1, things of that nature. So this one's like a very peculiar case too compared to the other one, which I'll show you. Now, I got Mega Man 5 here, and I was adjusting this one just now. Okay, this is kind of the same. Yeah, it's the same thing. But this one has like a smoother outer casing, which this one has a kind of like a rigid one, kind of has a grip to it, to the outside, which is sort of peculiar. But this one's a little bit smaller when it comes to the printout, which you could tell it looks higher quality than the other one, because, again, it's because of the whole fact of what they did with the production of this. Because this is a universal case that they're putting it in, so, this is not quite going to look as big. Which I don't have a problem with that, because the quality of it's really high. It gets super sharp. Like, the resolution is just crazy sharp. The only downside, again, is that they print out, they kind of put those white lines there, I guess, to fill in space, or they just left it in there for volume, who knows. But, again, looks so much nicer. And it keeps my copy of Mega Man 5 intact. I'll show you how this person actually did it, which is actually kind of interesting, because they're using a memory foam style to it, which actually, I guess it firmly grabs the cartridge, so that way it doesn't quite get. You see right there, they put some memory foam style foam in there, and they have foam across as such, which is it's like a very peculiar but interesting idea, but it works. It works a lot better than how the other person did it. Which, again, I'm very happy with how this came out. I only paid like under $6 for each one of these cases, which I am going to probably invest over time. Like every other week, I'm probably just going to grab buy another case of a game I have until all my games have custom cases that my more valuable ones are the ones in general that I really like. Such as Dragon Spirit. I'm probably going to make a custom case for that one. That one isn't particularly valuable per se, but to me it has a substantial value when it comes to my, feelings towards the game. I want to marry it. No, I'm kidding. Basically has a very good vibe to me. Like, I really enjoy playing the game. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's other versions of that game are a lot better, such as the TurboGrafx 16 one is like fucking, super duper versus that one, but the Nintendo version is still as good too. They're both great ports of each other. So, there you have it. But, so far I got 1 through 5. I'm going to be getting 2, 3, 4, and 6 for this. So that way I'll be able to keep my Mega Man games in great shape. Then periodically over time go to the cases, be like, okay, and do this new mini cleaning, grab some Aspenball alcohol, scrub the connectors a little bit, give a little play, a little bit of love to them, and there you go. But that's that. Now the last part of this video, I think it's going to want to fall over. Nope. I balanced it away where it's not going to fall over right now. Cool. Now the last part of this video is going to contain it's not going to be really a review, it's just more me just going to be rambling about the game for a couple moments of your time. And that, of course, is a game I got for the PlayStation 4 called Watch Dogs, or Watch_Dogs. And it's an interesting bag of nuts, where it's not quite a bad game at all. If not, it's really good. It has premise where it kind of feels very repetitive soon than often, where the quests, or in this case the missions, didn't quite feel unique as I would hope. I mean, yeah, granted the same action, blah blah blah, in games such as GTA 5 too, but with GTA 5 it felt more in depth as a mission when you're doing them, because you have a reason to do them, because like the conversations you have between NPCs and yourself, or anything else like that. I mean, some people say, well, this is better with the the missions, which just isn't really true, because yeah, there's some aspects this does a little bit better than GTA 5, but GTA 5 has this overall craftsmanship to it that you can't really, it's like apples and oranges, where GTA 5 feels like a work of love. This one is still, it feels like a vibe of love, but it's sort of like a hybrid of it, where it has very good aspects. The storyline's really good. I like the storyline of this. But the driving and a few other things kind of suck. I mean, yeah, you got this mechanism where you can hack stop signs or whatever else in the game, which is kind of cool. But, again, that's just all that's really going for the driving. The driving doesn't quite feel as good to play with or use or do. And I think the most enjoyment I got out of this game is when you're doing the investigation missions, such as like that murder or that serial killer one you did, or you do rather. There's the human trafficking mission, which I actually thought those were pretty entertaining, and those little puzzles there you do that go switch things around. Those were actually pretty fun. I actually thought those were entertaining once they got a little bit more challenging, and that was really it. Really, I mean, the rest of the things were just kind of like filler mini games that I really didn't care too much about. I mean, yeah, you had that cyber, that soldier something there. That was it, a cyber spider or something. I can't remember what the hell it was. It was a spider something. It looked a little bit like Spider-Man though. Can't remember. Oh well. But again, it had these little mini games that were hit and miss for me. Like, I didn't really care too much for some of them. The Mark missions, or the Fixer missions, I didn't give two shits about. I didn't even bother with those. I'm just like, whatever, kind of thing. The Armory, or the crate missions where you have to look for like guns and shit in the game, were pretty cool. I think I need to do a couple more of those. I'm not sure if I completed that. But you get like a cool weapon from it though, which is like a suppressed gremlin weapon, which is actually a pretty good SMG. It's a assault rifle, or an auto rifle, depending what you want to call it. So, there you have it. I mean, it's a very passable game if you can get it for $20, depending what your platform is, PC or Xbox 360 or PS3 or PS4 or Xbox One, whatever your preferences of choice. Pick your poison. I'd say it's a very passable game. It works extremely well for what it is. The storyline is actually pretty decent. It kind of is kind of lackluster, kind of limp in some points, but it still holds itself up as a very passable game. It's cool. You know, this is me not necessarily reviewing it to you. It's just me referencing it to you more than anything else. I'm not here to be like, oh, well, I give it 10 out of 10 stars. You know, no, I'm not going to do that. I mean, if I want to do that shit, I go on the website and do that shit. But here, I'm just going to tell you it's very fun. I recommend it personally in my preference of choice, or my, you know, my opinion. So, there you have it. All this stuff today that I'm going to talk to you about. And the open question is, what do you think about custom casing? That's the question for you. If you got any video responses, please post so and discuss what you think of said custom casing. Do you think it's cool? Do you think you know, you can do it yourself, so therefore you do it? Or whatever. But hey, take it easy, touch my nipples, and see you later. Oh man!